I never heard Wright say some of the things that have upset people.
Were he still there, would you then have left the church or have said, I just can't have anything to do with him?
Had the Reverend not retired, and had he not acknowledged that what he had said had deeply offended people and were inappropriate and mischaracterized what I believe is the greatness of this country for all its flaws, then I wouldn't have felt comfortable staying there at the church. If I had thought that that was the tenor or tone on an ongoing basis of his sermons, then yes, I don't think that it would have been reflective of my values or my faith experience.
So quick, yes or no, if you'd heard them in person, you would have quit?
If I had heard them repeated, I would have quit. And what I also tried to point out is that had I known that many of these comments were being made, I would have confronted Reverend Wright directly, and if he had continued to argue these points, or if I had heard them in the church, I might have left, but that's not what happened. I don't think that my church is actually particularly controversial.
During the campaign, the senator has defended what he calls Reverend Wright's social gospel.
So he was one of the leaders in calling for divestment from South Africa and some other issues like that. And he thinks it's important for us to focus on what's happening in Africa. And I agree with him on that.
As always, Barbara Walters gets right to the heart of the question that we all want to know.
And new controversy today involving Senator Obama's former pastor, Reverend Jeremiah Wright. As first reported by NBC's Andrea Mitchell, an internet search reveals church bulletins from the Trinity United Church of Christ over the years with controversial statements. Pastor pages from Reverend Wright is what's being noted here, and some reprint anti-Israel writings from a range of people, including Hamas leader Musa Abu Marzouk. One of Marzouk's columns reprinted by the church from the Los Angeles Times says, quote, "Why should any Palestinian recognize the monstrous crimes carried out by Israel's founders and continued by its deformed modern apartheid state?" That is the quote from those pastor pages. Obama told the Jerusalem Post the church was outrageously wrong to reprint the article, and he denounced Hamas. But yesterday, Obama again defended his longtime friend and spiritual leader.
I do have to remind people, though, that this is somebody who was preaching 3 sermons at least a week for 30 years. And so got boiled down into, they found 5 or 6 of his most offensive statements.
And Reverend Wright is also quoted in Trumpet, a magazine run by his daughters, as saying, quote, "White supremacy is clearly in charge of America," and it went on to slur Italians. He also calls Jesus' crucifixion a, quote, "public lynching, Italian style."
I think the Republicans, you read the Post, they're really going to nail this guy as a left-winger. They really are, Chris. And I think doing that is an enormous grace gesture.
Now, I want to ask you this, Mr. Speaker. You brought up the other night that this issue really for you comes down to honesty and the judgment of somebody that wants to be the President of the United States. Well, when you look at the polls, latest CBS News poll shows that among independent voters, John McCain now has a 10-point lead. But Barack Obama among independents just in the last week had an 8-point lead. It is an 18-point swing. Can we, and other polls have similar numbers, it's a free fall. Can we interpret from that that people do not believe he's honest in his explanation?
Goddamn America.
A typical white person.
Goddamn America.
A typical white person.
Goddamn America.
What's going on in white America, U.S. of KKKA? Black men turning on black men. That is fighting the wrong enemy. Enemy.
Somebody who is like an uncle. I can no more disown him than I can disown the black community.
Goddamn America, that's in the Bible for killing innocent people. Goddamn America.
Goddamn America.
And I would think about our own people. I would think about those who need help. That's what this campaign is about.
I won't wear that pin on my chest. Instead, I'm going to try to tell the American people what I believe will make this country great. You know, hopefully that will be a testimony to my patriotism. I think that we should call a summit with Muslim leaders from around the world to talk to them about their need to partner with us.
You want to discuss this with such eagerness. Let's listen to Senator John Kerry help out his friend Senator Barack Obama.
And I think in the end, he has an ability to help us bridge the divide of religious extremism, to maybe even give power to moderate Islam, to be able to stand up against this radical misinterpretation of a legitimate religion.
There are other issues out there. We pointed out and showed video last night of another spiritual advisor of him with equally divisive language. We haven't even begun to touch nationally a debate over his political pilgrimage to William Ayers, one of the heads of the Weather Underground that admitted to bombing our Pentagon. He hasn't dealt with that issue at this particular point. It seems to me that his judgment, his associations, is going to be a major factor, and that we've only begun to touch the surface here and the believability issue.
I think Republicans, you read the Post, they're really going to nail this guy as a left-winger. They really are, Chris. And I think doing that is an enormous grace gesture.